We'll just take one more minute for the people who are going to report back to make their notes. Bob. Stephen, you would have had a hard time breaking this group up if you were here. It was tough to call it quits because there was a lot of good discussion going on. So I think what we'll do is start with group number 1, the water and energy group, and their information is hanging on the hanging on the pillar in the back of the room under the clock. And Nicole, are you going to report on that as the facilitator, or is Dave?
No, you are, but I'm going to get you a microphone.
Okay, Dave's getting the wireless mic or a mic. Just sit here and do it. Oh, right here. Okay.
Steen?
So Dave and I will present this. Can you hear me okay? This was a fantastic group to work with. We had a lot of things. We started talking about some physical issues in terms of crossing the river with bike bridges. A lot of commentary on needing, focusing on accessibility across the river during times of high flood, high waters. Elm Street, for instance, hasn't been usable all summer. 12th Avenue Bridge gets closed quickly. Not having any of our bike bridges accessible all summer is really taking a toll on our community. And so that was a strong issue. We had some real visionary comments like envisioning San Antonio Riverwalk in terms of its access to the water, using that as an economic tourist booster, and that it's a flood control project. And having those big visions on how we can approach the water more so. Had some great visionary comments too about a future water closed source, closed loop system in times of drought and in times of our own safety here in the community. And then in terms of energy, having a more diverse energy portfolio, looking at other sources. We're doing a good job of that, but it could be more so. Really focusing on the smaller projects, the residential incentives, and also commenting on how, if you notice, like in some older neighborhoods in the wintertime and the icicles, the poor are the lower income that are suffering from high heat bills because of their inability to afford to beef up their insulation. And so is there some incentive programs that can help with that? Or maybe there's a middle class component that we need to help with more. One thing too is just, I found it interesting how quickly the comments started going towards more of a community and social commentary and the connectivity, not only in technology, walkability, but this idea of social and family. And I mean, we almost went there immediately, and I thought that was really exciting to remember that we're talking about technology and energy and water, but yet it always comes back to the people. And then, anything else, Dave, that I'm missing?
We end up talking a lot about flooding. That always seems to be the main thing. I just wanted to talk real quick about what our goal is in the next 4 to 5 years is to get to 42.5 feet in protection throughout the city. Basically, by doing that, we're going to remove the different neighborhoods from the floodplain, and then that eliminates your requirement to have flood insurance. If you have a mortgage and you're in a floodplain, you're required to have flood insurance. So 42.5 is our number. Obviously, we're hoping that we get a diversion. That's a ways off, but in the next 4 to 5 years, that is our plan. The rest of the things, I thought it was lots of real interesting things about. Bruce is here. The potential things about using, our wastewater as a revenue. That's a great thing, and also some of the things we talked about in the future, using methane from the landfill to fuel our vehicles. And to maybe switch over to natural gas for some of the city vehicles, things like that. That kind of goes back to the whole ethanol and biodiesel that's produced. Some of that is produced in our local area, and by using that, that's a benefit to us. So other than that, you did a very good job. I just wanted to bring up the whole flood protection thing. So that ends our report. Thank you.
All right.
I think it was especially important when we spoke about water and energy that we started discussing that while this is the City of Fargo's plan, the people of our community's plan, in fact, when you talk about energy, water, health, economic stability, you're really talking about a region. And so we didn't want to overlook the fact that we are a city in a region that has importance for both of our states. So we're a regional entity as well as the city.
Yep. Yep. Everything, whether it's red and it was Cheyenne River, transportation, connectivity over the river, that multi-jurisdictional, cooperative, that type of thing. Thank you, Group 1. Group 2 has health, infrastructure, and transportation, and from what it looked like to me, Bob Stein was going to report back on that. Stephen and Zach, can you hear on the portable microphone?
Yeah, we can hear just fine.
Good.
Our video isn't working for some reason. Oh, we can see you, but it's fine. Keep going.
Okay, Group 2, we talked first about health. We started talking about year-round recreational opportunities, and a few things came up. We have the river corridor where we have some opportunities for year-round recreation in terms of the bike paths and the walking and walking, as well as cross-country skiing and even snowshoeing in the wintertime. But the west side, there really aren't a lot of opportunities for year-round recreation. In many places, the paths that are built, not the on-street facilities, but the off-street facilities, aren't maintained in the winter. And we got into that whole discussion of on-street versus off-street for certain types of recreation. One of the things we talked about was expanding our trail system by using the series of drains that we have and the dikes that we have. We can put recreational facilities on them, and that would expand us into some areas where we don't have much right now. The north neighborhoods really don't have a lot of off-street paths, but the traffic patterns and the traffic volumes are such that the street network really functions pretty well for bicycle, recreational, and commuter use. There's really no place to just go ice skating. There's some hockey arenas around the area, but there's really no place. And one of the ideas that came up was using some of the detention ponds, pumping water into them and keeping them cleared in the summertime. Woodhaven, an area like that could provide wintertime ice skating opportunities. And then running is another thing that has been completely transformed by the Fargo Marathon. And we see people year-round. It doesn't matter what the weather is like. You will find people out running, and we need to recognize that as an important part of our recreational system as well and make that safe. Also, there's opportunities to use existing space, like school gyms that aren't used during vacations or in the evenings or so forth, or some of the churches have even built gyms. And then sledding opportunities. There's not many sledding opportunities. When I used to live out in the country, you'd look for the nearest interchange on the interstate because there were no other hills around. And that was where we would always go. But look for more opportunities there. Then we started talking about food a little bit more. When we had the meetings, when we had the public meetings, one of the most surprising hot spots, I think, was the amount of interest in locally grown foods and being able to buy them, whether it's in a farmer's market or whether it's on the shelves in our existing grocery stores. And that is becoming a more and more important aspect. We talked a little bit about downtown grocery shopping, and there's some opportunities there. Shopping for groceries downtown is different than it is in some parts of the cities. There's not really one supermarket type store, but there's several places that you would need to go to buy what you need and still make an occasional trip to a supermarket. There are areas, there's a shortage of grocery stores in some of our lower income areas. And that makes them rely more upon the fast food type outlets, which is probably not as healthy. We spent quite a bit of time talking about a farmer's market and making that whole transition from buying foods that we typically buy at a supermarket setting or in a chain grocery store to buying in a farmer's market. That would be, an 8 to 10 month endeavor where you would have people growing and selling a lot of locally grown produce of all kinds. You also, if you go to farmers markets in other cities, you may have a presence of other, like the international grocery store would be the type of a store that would probably fit well into a farmer's market. Even a Hornbacher's or one of the chains could put a stand out there for fresh fruits and vegetables and things like that. But in order for this to be successful, it was stated pretty clearly that, or it was felt that an investment by the city in putting a facility that could be used in place would be the impetus that would be needed for that to be successful. Just relying on the people who take a cart to a parking lot and sell groceries, that's not going to do it. You're going to have some kind of a facility built that has some protection from the weather, some access to electricity, some good dock access for loading and unloading and restocking. So it would take an investment by the city. The city would have to lead on something like that. Okay, then we got into the transportation system. We talked about the bike system. We need to enhance that, but we've done a lot in past years, or in the past couple of years, actually. There's been a major move to get more on-street bike trails marked out, and we need to continue that and make sure that there is connectivity in that system. One of the big opportunities in that is 17th Avenue South. Infrastructure. All in all, we felt our infrastructure is really